Now I have, I'm going to make a motion that the committee approve the governor's supplemental and mega appropriation bill for all state agencies for fiscal years 2026 through 2029 on behalf of the office of the governor, and that RS number is 26 RS 2792. So that's my motion, seconded by Representative Helgerson. All those in favor say aye. Aye. Opposed? All right, bill is introduced. Are there any further bill requests this morning? All right, seeing none, we'll go ahead and move on to the next item on the agenda, and that is staff introductions. And so first, I will turn it over to Representative Hoy.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I would like to introduce my intern, Paolo Diaz-Padilla, a freshman at KU. Thank you, Mr. Chair.
All right, thank you, Representative Hoy. And then Dylan, do we have any staff introductions?
I think we're just going to do the actual staff.
Do what?
Just me and myself.
Okay. All right, so the next items, you should, nothing has changed from the previous session in regards to the committee rules and also the rules for the conferees. So nothing has changed there, so it should be the same as it was in the 2025 legislative session. So right now we're going to move into, I think this is the first time since I've been chair of appropriations. In the first week, we have budget report outs. As many of you are aware, we had budget committees meeting the week prior to the start of the legislative session. And so I will now turn it over to Chairperson Wassinger from the General Government Budget Committee. And I believe you'll be starting with the Office of Administrative Hearings.
Yes.
Chairperson Wassinger.
All right. Thank you, Mr. Chair. We'll start with administrative hearings. The mission of the Office of the Administrative Hearings is to conduct efficient, fair, and impartial hearings for constituents and other affected parties who contest the actions of state agencies and other governmental entities. There are 6 agencies that most frequently use OAH. The first one is the Kansas Department of Children and Families, then Kansas Department of Health and Environment, and Division of Healthcare Finance, as well as Labor and Kansas Civil Service Board. Their budget for 2026 is requests a revised estimate of $2.1 million and 14 FTEs. This represents a decrease of $97,824, or 4.4% below the 2025 legislature. This is entirely due to budgeting less for salaries, including one attorney position being reclassified as a legal assistant. The Special Committee on State Budget agreed with their $2.1 million budget, and as did the House Committee on the General Government Budget. Are there any questions, or you want me to keep going to 2027, sir?
Just proceed with 2027.
All right. For 2027, they still are $2.1 million from the Administrative Hearings Office with the same amount of employees. And they also have a decrease due to that attorney position going down to legal assistant. And the Special Committee on the State Budget concurs with the agency request for 2027, as well as the House Committee on General Government Budget for 2027. Are there any questions or comments?
Committee, are there any questions for Chairperson Wassinger in regards to fiscal year 26 or 27? Vice Chair Williams.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. So just a general question on this, because we're all getting up to date and used to the new formatting, which is great. But do we have a report? I know it's probably on the performance measures, but I don't see them included, and I think it's somewhere else, on the number of hearings they conducted, if everybody was able to get into those hearings with satisfactory results, and have the number of reports or requests for hearings increased or decreased in the last few years.
Chairperson Wassinger.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. They have kind of fluctuated. It depends on how many people want to do it. So 2025 was 492 cases per judge. The 26 estimate was 478, and the 27 estimate is 499. Average days per decision has gone up a little bit. Actually, it's gone down since 2023. So they do about 110. Number of appeals closed is 2,422 and 25, and it goes up to 2,870 and 27. Pending FY fiscal year carryover appeals are in the 645 number range. I do not know, it does not give me how many people were happy with what happened or.
Vice Chair Williams.
All right, just to follow up on that. So when you say 400 plus per judge and there are 14 FTEs, but one's a legal assistant, I'm sure there are other legal assistants or assistants. How many actual judges are there so we can calculate the total number of cases?
Chairperson Walsinger.
Thank you, Mr. Chair, if you give me a second here. I'll have that in a minute, sorry. Is there another question I might not be able to answer?
Vice Chair Williams.
Yes, and one more question, and this is relevant because in the select committee, we've often talked about this actual office. So where is it located?
It is.
Chairperson Walsinger.
It is at 1020 South Kansas Avenue here in Topeka.
Vice Chair Williams.
I was just wondering what building that is.
I don't know that.
It's in the same building.
Chairperson Walsinger.
Oh, it doesn't, it's in the same building as Wildlife and Parks. That's about all I can tell you. I don't know if it has an actual, it must have an actual name.
Vice Chair Williams, follow up.
I'm good, Mr. Chair, just waiting to know about the judges.
Representative Sutton.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. The Vice Chair brings up an important point. With the new format, and this is more for staff, where am I to find the performance measures of these agencies?
Dylan.
So for today, we have passed them out. So the long sheets that you have in front of you, the 8.5 by 14, that has the performance measures on them. It's also available on our website as well. So if you go to our website, hopefully you have them in front of you.
I don't have any
I'll
long
make sure you
sheets.
get a copy.
We don't have that copy.
We'll make sure you get a copy of that.
All right.
But it's also available on our website, which is honestly the easiest way to access it at this point. And I'll get everybody the link. But if you go to the KLRD state budget website and go to the annual publications, that will give you the link to the PDF. And it's a lot easier to dig through it because that publication is about 1,600 pages. And so there's just a lot of performance measures. And so you can go directly to the PDF portion and be able to see all the measures for all state agencies. Those were published yesterday evening. So.
Very good. No wonder I didn't see them. All right. Thank you, Mr. Chair.
Representative Hoffman.
I was just, thank you, Mr. Chairman. I was going to ask about the computer. Is this 30,000, is this the first year, or is it the only year? It looks like there's going to be a maintenance fee afterwards. Do you know what that's going to be?
Chairperson Walsinger.
It's in here. It's all right.
They're in the process of making the e-file system.
Oh.
It's a lot of money for this year, 2027. We'll be expending as much in future years.
Mr. Chair,
Yes, proceed.
they, they're contemplating additional ways to streamline the filing process. So they're trying to get to an e-file system. So it will be, they anticipate that will be done by 2028. So that's why there's an additional fund for that. I'm sorry, I forgot it was Representative Hoffman who asked that.
Representative Hoffman?
No problem. So the 30,000 is probably going to be for the every year for the next couple of years?
Yes.
Okay, all right, thank you.
And then in response to Representative, or the Vice Chair Williams, they have 7 judges, including the director.
Any other further questions for Chairperson Wassinger? All right, seeing none, Chairperson Wassinger, if you could entertain a motion.
I move that we accept the Office of Administrative Hearings for the years of 2026 and 2027 favorable for passing.
All right, you've heard the motion. Is there a second? Seconded by Representative Amix. All those in favor of the motion say aye. Aye. Opposed? Motion passes. Chairperson Wassinger, the next budget.
All right, the next budget. Oh, sorry, you can take your phone. Pooled Money Investment Board manages investables in the investable state money available, excuse me, from the State General Fund and hundreds of individual state agencies. I don't know if I got that or not. They, for 2026, they have a revised estimate of $926,046, all from the PMIB Portfolio Fund, in expenditures and 5 FTEs. It's equivalent to the amount approved by the 2025 legislature, and they haven't submitted any supplemental charges, requests, or any SGF reappropriation. The Special Committee on State Budget confers with the agency's revised estimate in 2026, and the House Committee on General Government Budget did as well. They've duplicated 2027. It goes up to $943,333 with the same 5 employees that they had before. It's an increase of 1.9% above the amount approved by the 2025 legislature. The Special Committee on Special Committee on the State Budget concurs with the agency request for 2027, as well as the general government budget concurs with the 2027 budget.
So I just kind of want to elaborate on some things that transpired during the Special Committee on State Budget. So you'll see that in 2027, they're asking for an increase in regards for salaries and wages. And as it mentions on page 7, this is primarily for health insurance and benefits. There was a motion actually made by myself in the Special Committee on State Budget that if there was an increase for pay or wages, that was extracted out from all agencies and departments. If it was for benefits, that did not fall under that motion. We also had a global motion that if there was any increase in FTEs, that those were taken out. So I just kind of wanted to let the committee know that those items from a request from an agency or department in regards to increasing the wages or salaries and then the number of FTEs that they had is not included in the budget that was introduced on Monday. Any questions for Chairperson Wassinger? Vice Chair Williams.
Thank you, Mr. Chair, and just apologies, just trying to maneuver. My question is, do you have an update of how much we have in totality in the pooled money investment? And what is the interest rate that we received of these funds last year?
Chairperson Wassinger.
Apparently, it was in my email after I left the office, so. Okay. All right. In 2025, they had an average interest rate of 4.3%. In November, it was 4.04%.
Vice Chair Williams.
Okay, I mean, they invest it, correct?
Yes.
And 4% is really low. So are you sure? Like Capers has a return of usually over 10 or so percent. So is it because it's a certain type of funds and you can't put it
Is there a statutory
into
requirement?
in certain type of investment portfolios? And then also, again, how much do we have in there and what's the total amount of interest accrued last year?
Chairperson Wassinger.
Yes, I'm going to have to get back and get that for you. We apparently, I had asked for that earlier, but we didn't communicate well. So I'll get that for you in this meeting, probably. Yeah.
Vice Chair Williams.
Okay, great. So just for clarification, we're looking for the total amount and the pooled money. We're looking for the amount that we earned in interest, and you already provided the interest rate, and the chairman said it's likely treasury bonds. So, but if it's not, let us know. Thank you.
All right. Thank you. Thank you.
Representative Helgerson.
There are some other agencies that have large amounts of cash that investment policies have not kept up with the times that they are. I believe that, Capers clearly can invest in a wide variety of sources. A couple of the other agencies are very restricted, and because they feel that they need to keep the money available 7 days a week, 12 months a year. It would be helpful for us to have a further discussion on the policies, and I have a bill to be introduced also on this, so that we review what the policies are and how they're being invested, the pooled monies that are in the different agencies in the future.
Dylan.
Mr. Chairman, I have some of those pieces of data. They are in the performance measures that were submitted by the pooled money investment portfolio. I mean, the MIP average balance is 24 actual is about 1.2 billion, 25 actual is about 1.1 going forward. 1.2 into 24, 1.1 in 25. And I can do that. That's the MIP average balance. And so it's really important. I mean, people ask you, like, what is the balance in the MIP? And it changes dramatically month to month, depending upon as money comes into and out of the funds. And so anyway, those numbers come in and out. We're looking at a pooled money investment portfolio weighted average rate projection. The 25 is 4.72%. The 26 projection is 3.90%, and the 27 projection is 3.30%. There's also data in here about the pooled money investment portfolio average balances, which is more in the billions, because, you can talk about the municipal investment portfolio, that's money that's coming from the locals that we're investing on their behalf. And there's also the pooled money investment portfolio average balance, which is all the funds held by the state, including special revenue funds and the state general fund and all of the various appropriated funds. And so all of these different sources of money get invested by the pooled money investment portfolio. And those balances, like 24, so it's like 8.7 billion, 8.4 billion, 8.1 billion. But What I would like to stress to the committee, as this has come up in the past, this is not money that is just like in a savings account and it just happens to be sitting out there and is not dedicated to a purpose. This is money that is held by agencies, that is being flowing through the state. What's happening there is the pooled money investment portfolio takes all the various funds that are being received by state agencies, invests them. Okay, the majority of that interest goes to the state general fund and shows up as interest income to the state on a monthly basis. There are a select number of special revenue funds that get to retain their interest by statute, which is specifically granted by the legislature to allow them to retain those funds. And so it's not like there's $8.4 billion out there that you can just go out and spend, because you will actually be spending money that has already been allocated and committed for other purposes. This is just money, this is just where we're holding the money to make sure that we're getting the best possible return on it.
Representative Sutton.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Dylan, maybe you can answer this one then, kind of as a follow-up. In the wild fluctuations in the balances here, is there some sort of a threshold that we don't go below, that perhaps even though I know the money has, in theory, has to be liquid, if we know that we're not going to go below X amount, that could we get something better than a money market return on it, is my question, I guess.
Dylan.
Yes, Mr. Chairman. So there is not a specific number, but in speaking with Joel Oliver, who is the director of the pooled money investment portfolio, what he does is he looks at the amount of projected expenditures against the current balance in order to come up with a fluctuating number at that level, and then determines a lot of this money is invested as treasury ladders. Okay, and so what he's doing is he's saying some of this is money is out 120 days, 90 days, 30 days, and then he will increase or shrink the ladder depending upon the amount of demand against those particular funds. There are clear statutory restrictions on how this money gets invested because there had been a history decades ago where there had been some risk to Kansas state funds. And so as a result, it specifies in statute, he is highly restricted on how he's allowed by statute to invest the funds. And so there's not a lot of flexibility there.
I know the folks that write those things, though, so. All right, very good. Thank you.
Just to clarify, is the interest compounded? It is. That's what I thought. All right. Any further questions for Chairperson Wassinger? Seeing none, Chairperson Wassinger, I'd entertain a motion.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I move that we approve the Pooled Money Investment Board's budgets for 2026 and 2027 as presented.
Thank you.
Committee, you've heard the motion. Is there a second? Seconded by Representative Turk. All those in favor of the motion say aye. Aye. Opposed? Motion passes. Chairperson Wassinger.
Of all these. I'm so sorry. This is a little bit more difficult. The Kansas Public Disclosure Commission is responsible for administrating, interpreting, and enforcing the Campaign Finance Act and laws relating to conflicts of interest, financial disclosure, and the regulation of lobbying. Because of the HB 2206 last year, they changed the name from Government Ethics Commission to the Kansas Public Disclosure Commission. Wait, I don't have that. Oh, I don't know what I did on that. I don't have that in front of me. I'm sorry. I don't know what I did with them. I apologize. The agency submits a revised estimate of $889,151 in expenditures and 8.5 FTE positions for 2026, including about 600,000 SGF and 300,000 from the Kansas Public Disclosure Fee Fund. This represents an all funds decrease of about 24,000 or 2.6% below the amount approved by the 2025 legislature. They were asking for reappropriation of funds and approximately coming to $23,212 of SGF, and the Special Committee on the State Budget deleted that, as well as the House Committee on General Government Budget. Other changes in the revised estimate is a decrease from the fee fund reflecting the, we're taking away their lapse of their reappropriation. So are there, that's for 2026 and 2027. The agency revised estimate was about 900,000 in expenditures and 8.5 in FTEs. For 2027, they had a decrease in salaries and wages, including a decrease of 85,000 FGF and 68,000 from the fee fund. The decrease was primarily attributable to reduced employer contributions to health insurance. They have an increase of 6,000 for contractual services, including money for higher expenditures for database fees for Westlaw and Arbase, Office 365. And they anticipate increases in travel and sustenance expenditures, including out-of-state meal and lodging for the COGIL conference, which is, I didn't write that down. The Special Budget Committee concurs with the agency budget request for 2027, and the House Committee on General Government Budget concurred with the Special Budget Committee's recommendation. One of the questions that was asked by one of our members of our committee, which I had asked for more information on, and I got a letter back, and Ariana has it, but it really doesn't tell you anything. There's a new director. They've gone through quite a few. Let's see, with 3 or 4. And she just started, and so the representative wanted to know where they put their legal fees or their legal litigation fees, all the money that they got in from different people that they've filed lawsuits against. And she said that it went all through the torts fee fund. So I didn't get a lot of information from that, so we're going to have to ask for more. Are there any questions?
All right, thank you, Chairperson Walsinger. Committee, are there any questions in regards to fiscal year 26 or 27? Vice Chair Williams.
This is just real quick. Because of docking and so many of our agencies moved and it's difficult to follow where everyone went, could we state on these budgets where they're located?
Actually, that was a request that was made in the Special Committee on State Budget, because we did see a lot of movement with state agencies, and they were requesting moving expenses. And I believe, Dylan, you were working on a document that was going to show where everybody has moved around.
I think I did get one. Were they?
Okay, and he's going to submit that to the committee, so they'll have that information. Representative Estes.
So does that also mean some of these agencies are out of rental agreements? Would we see any impact to not paying rent, or did they move from one government building to another, or a little bit of both?
Primarily, it was moving from one government building within the Capitol complex from either Curtis or Landon or to docking, and there was just a lot of movement that was going on with a lot of the agencies and departments because docking is now completed.
Thank you.
Representative Ballard.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Is it a fair question to ask? Since this department has had so many, what I want to say, interims, which would affect actually the operation of this office. Is there some reason why we've had so many various people within a short period of time?
Chairperson Walsinger, do you have an answer to that question?
I do, but I'm not sure it's really to discuss in an open manner. I can answer that later for you,
Representative
if
Ballard.
I may, Representative?
Yes, you may, but I think it is a fair question to ask.
It is a fair question.
Because if you go between this person, you get rid of the first person, and then you go again to another person, and each one has a different style and everything else, then it affects the operation of your office. So I'll be happy to know.
I would interject and say, when I was in, the financial industry, it would be predominantly the cost of training somebody and having somebody new into the position, the cost was anywhere from $30,000 to $40,000 in order to get a new person. I don't know if that transcends into this particular office, but there is a cost when you have new employees, and especially if you have a turnaround of the executive, that cost even goes up even higher.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I appreciate that because that does affect monetarily as well as morale and as well as how effective that office can operate. But we'll talk.
Chairperson Wassinger.
I will tell you that the person that was in charge of the agency originally when I got here, came under a lot of scrutiny because of choices being made. I think a new one was brought on, and I think the office was very disorganized, and I think they decided that they didn't want to tackle that. So I think that's why we have a different acting director, or maybe someone was pulled somewhere else. So I'm not really sure exactly why everyone left. I'm pretty sure why the first one did. But beyond that, I don't know. I'm sorry.
I appreciate your comments. Thank you very much. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Representative Sutton.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Continuing in that vein, I'm looking at the agency budget, and I'm not seeing where fines assessed by the court are coming out of. Does it come from a different fund or out of the agency budget? Because I'm not seeing it reflected.
Chairperson Wassinger.
I do think that
So I think the testimony indicated that I think a lot of the litigation that the agency is paid for through the tort fund.
I think all of it, Mr. Chair, is paid through the tort fee fund. They did indicate that they don't have any pending litigation
I think Jill has a response to that.
either. Okay.
Generally, fees and penalties go to the state general fund unless they're specifically by statute. So let me check that statute, if that goes to their fee funds.
All right, thank you. Representative Sutton.
Thank you. I think that will eventually answer my question.
All right. Any other questions? Chairperson Wassinger. Question for yourself?
Yes, I have a question. Why are you here?
Was that directed to me?
I have an answer for Representative Williams. They are located in the Mills building. She's looking at something else, but we can tell her. They're located in the Mills building at 901 South Kansas.
All right, thank you. Any other further questions for Chairperson Wassinger? Seeing none, Chairperson Wassinger.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I move that we approve the Kansas Public Disclosure Commission budget for 2026 and 2027 as presented.
All right, committee, you've heard the motion. Is there a second? Second by Representative Turk. All those in favor of the motion say aye. Opposed? Motion passes. All right, I believe Chairperson Wassinger, you're done for the day.
Woohoo!
So we're going to move on to the next representative, and that's Chairperson Mosier with the Agriculture and Natural Resources Budget Committee, and I believe you'll be starting with the Board of Accountancy. Chairperson Mosier.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Does everybody have their popcorn? We're going to start with the Board of Accountancy. And this board provides for certification and regulation of CPAs within the state. The board is composed of 7 individuals, all who must be residents of Kansas. 5 must be CPAs. 2 others are from the general public, but they must have a working knowledge of the generally accepted accountancy principles. And they are appointed to 3-year terms. Currently, there are 3,800 licensed CPAs in Kansas. I might say that the Board of Accountancy receives 0 SGF dollars. It's a fee-funded agency. So if you look at 2027, the approved was $489,499. For 26, we're on page 2. And the agency actually revised their estimate and lowered it by a net of $514. And those changes that brought the final number down were, and it was basically an internal reallocation of funds. The salaries and wages were decreased by $75.86. and that was because they hired a new director, and they thought it would take longer than it did to get her up to speed, so they were able to let the prior director go earlier, so there was a savings in salary and wages. And also contractual services went up $44,372, and that's because they assigned counsel for contract lawyers, and they had a database conversion that they were working on that they were going to complete with those funds. And then there was an increase of $2,700 for the purchase of computer hardware and support equipment. So if you put those three numbers together, that's a $514 decrease in their budget, which was approved by the special committee on the state budget and was approved by the ANRBC as well. So moving on to 2027. So, and the budget ended up being $488,985 for 26. If you move on to 27 on page 4, again, there was a revision by the agency that resulted in a net decrease of $222 in the overall budget, and that obviously, the agency stated that there were small amounts in several areas that they cut, and that was a cut of 222. So the final budget was $489,774. The special committee on the state budget concurred with that, and as did the House Budget Committee on Ag and Natural Resources. So over the 2 years, there was a net decrease in the budgets of $736. So they're spending less than, the final ended up being less than what they originally wanted. So with that, I'll stand for questions. Oh, and if you want to look at the performance-based budgeting, they have to have this program so that so persons can become certified public accountants. They have to take their exams, all those things. If we didn't have this, there would be no oversight of CPAs, and there would be no oversight with any laws or regulations. And obviously then the public's inability to rely on CPAs and their financial reports that they put out would be in question. So that's why the agency exists. If you want to look at the complaints filed and the hearings, there were more complaints filed over the years, but less hearings, and it's my guess, because I didn't check with Mindy on this, but I would say that the complaints that ended up not going to a hearing got resolved before it got to that point. Certificates are remaining steady for the CPAs that do an exam, or the reciprocity CPAs, which are CPAs that aren't in Kansas, but they have a good license in their state, and they apply to also be a CPA in Kansas. So the number of CPA firms is holding steady. The number of new, you got that. With that, I'll stand for questions.
All right, thank you, Chairperson Mosier. And are there any questions in regards to the Board of Accountancy? All right, Reverend Sutton. Maybe?
Well, it is a question. It's something that I'm dealing with in another area, and I wanted to see if maybe you had looked at this at all, and if you haven't, certainly that's no slight, all right, this is a detail. But those accountants with reciprocity, if they lose their credentials in their home state, does that affect the reciprocity in our state currently?
Chairperson Mosier.
And
Thank you, Mr. Chair. It should.
It should.
I'll check that and find out for you.
Very good. It's no slight if you didn't keep track of that one, because this is a new one for me, too, that I just started dealing with. But thank you for that.
Any further questions in regards to fiscal year 26 or 27? Seeing none, Chairperson Mosier, I'd entertain a motion.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I move that the Appropriations Committee approve the proposed budget for the Board of Accountancy acceptable for the 26 and 27 fiscal years for passage as presented.
All right, committee, you've heard the motion, seconded by Representative Estes. All those in favor of the motion say aye. Aye. Opposed? All right, motion passes. Now I believe we're moving on to the Board of Veterinary Examiners. Chairperson Mosier.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Okay. The Board of Veterinary Examiners is a fee-funded agency, receives 0 SGF dollars. It was established in 1903, not in 1907, but it basically protects the public health and safety by ensuring through examination and registration a minimum standard of skill and ability in veterinarians practicing in Kansas. The board's responsible for the examination and registration of vet techs also, in addition to veterinarians. The board registers and inspects veterinary premises, and there are over 650 of those in the state of Kansas. It also investigates complaints by consumers against practicing veterinarians, including unethical practice, intentional or unknowing infringement on the laws that govern the practice of veterinary medicine. There are currently 1,813 licensed veterinarians in Kansas, and we do have 4 counties out of the 105 that have 0 veterinarians. Just FYI. Moving to the 2026 budget. It was approved, $413,050. The agency revised estimate was the same. The special committee agreed with that, as did the House ANRC Budget Committee. The balance in the Board of Veterinary's fee fund is stable. Ending balances fluctuate from 263,000 plus back in 24 to 236,000 in 27. So it is a fairly stable agency, but 6 out of 14 of their fee fund statutory limits have been met. And so in the next couple of years, not this year, but possibly in the next couple of years, they will be asking for, to raise the statutory limit on some of their fees. Moving on to 2027, the approved without reappropriations and the agency request, well, wait a minute. The approved was $412,000. The agency requested for $418,790. And it was it has 3.8 FTE positions, and that's been constant. There is an increase of $6,689, all from the fee fund that was approved for 2027 to count for an increase in expenditure limitation that was inadvertently omitted from the pay plan that we voted out last year. So the Special Committee on State Budget concurred with the agency's request for 2027, as did the ANRC Budget Committee. And if you want to take a look at their performance measures, they're pretty solid all across. And like I said, there's 650 plus premises, and there's one gentleman that goes around and does those examinations. And with that, I will stand for questions on the Board of Veterinary Examiners.
All right, committee, are there any questions for Chairperson Mosier? Representative Amix.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Question that I would have is in the 2027 budget, that $6,700 and an explanation of it, what was inadvertently left out?
Chairperson Mosier.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Let me look at my committee notes and see if we wrote anything down on that. If I can't answer that, I will check with Dr. Olson and get that answer. But I believe it had to do with the pay plan that was approved, and it didn't get in there in last year's, and so they're putting it in.
For 2027.
Yeah.
I think Dylan has a response. Dylan?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. And Chair Mosier is 100% correct. So for the biennial agencies, they had out-year approved budgets. And when we adjusted the pay plans, we adjusted all the budgets to the pay plans. We didn't adjust the expenditure limitations for the second year of biennial budgets only. And so you're just giving them the additional expenditure authority to implement the previous year's pay plan, which was in all our estimates, but not adjusted inside of the bill.
All right, thank you. Representative Sutton.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Going off of the comment about they're going to have to increase their fees, as I look at their fees, only 6 of the 14 are at their statutory limits. Are the other 8 are well below in some cases. Is that because those 8 just are very rare, or there are a much smaller number of those?
Well, if you look at the
Chairperson Mosier.
second, oh, I'm sorry. Thank you, Mr. Chair. If you look at the second one, the renewal for the licenses, these are existing veterinarians that apply for renewal, and $100 is historically low and could be raised according to the industry. You know, does that make sense? I mean,
Representative Sutton.
Raising it because it's a low price doesn't really seem, I mean, that doesn't seem like a great motivation for taking people's money. I mean, if the agency's hurting, I get it, you know, but again, 8 of these funds aren't anywhere, or 8 of these fees aren't anywhere near their limits. And if we're just raising it because, gee, it's a bargain, I'm not sure that's a great motivation.
Chairperson Mosier.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I can talk with Dr. Olson and see what the reasoning is behind this. And again, he said not, 1 or 2 years, and if things stay steady, they may not ask for any raises. Now, the late penalty, veterinary medicine license late penalty, that could be raised because, if you let your professional license lapse, that's not a good thing.
Representative Sutton.
I agree, but that's not really, I mean, if we're wanting it to be a punitive measure to dissuade them from letting it lapse, I guess I can kind of see that, but to couch it as necessary for the agency to continue doesn't make a heck of a lot of sense to me at all.
Chairperson Mosier.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Again, I would have to have a deeper discussion with Dr. Olson and just see. There was absolutely no indication that this year or next year they would want to do anything like that. And so let me talk with him, and he can give me the feel of his profession and, see. I mean, like I said, the fee fund has been stable for the last several years. And so maybe it won't be needed. But if something happens, that's where they would have to go to have more revenue.
Sure, and Mr. Chair.
Representative Sutton.
What would indicate to me to feel comfortable with raising the statutory limits would be that the current ones are maxed and the fee fund is declining. And we might want to look at why that might be the case, but at least there we'd be accurately discussing what the issue is and dealing with an actual issue rather than something else.
Chairperson Mosier.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Another thing I will say is the number of veterinarians in Kansas, we need more veterinarians. And so, you know, if that number doesn't come up, and in future years, if there is an indication that they're going to need more for their budget, then they'll do, you know, they'll do the fees. But we have a shortage of veterinarians, and
And so we want to raise the fees?
no, no, I'm just saying, if we don't get more veterinarians and the fee fund gets into trouble, this is their income source.
Representative Sutton.
Well, if we want to continue down that road, if there are fewer veterinarians, and it seems like there might be less work for the agency to be doing.
Chairperson Mosier.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. There would probably be more work because the veterinarians that are left are going to be doing double and triple time. And so there could be more chance for error. Premises could maybe just not be kept completely up to snuff. I'm just saying what could happen.
Right, I get it. All right, thank you, Mr. Chair.
Vice Chair Williams.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Really quick, it looks like the number of qualified veterinarians per year that are licensed newly is increasing a little bit. It only had one dip down year. But I'm wondering, just two quick questions. I'm wondering if, since this is the recommendation of the fee going up, if it's from the industry, if it's from the veterinarians that they prefer it. Is that where that's coming from?
Chairperson Mosier.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I believe the industry is voicing that they are willing to pay to keep this agency, you know, effective and efficient and, you know.
Okay.
Vice Chair Williams.
Okay, and then one other just quick follow-up, and that is, we have talked about grace periods for Kansas State Board of Nursing, and I was just curious, can you remind me, when we look on the fees and there's a late penalty, what's that grace period amount of time? Is it 6 months or 3 months?
Chairperson Mosier.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I do not know. I can get that and let you
Perfect,
know.
thank you.
Any other further questions for Chairperson Mosier? I think this is the most time we've spent on the Board of Veterinary Examiners in 10 years I've been here. All right, seeing no further questions, Chairperson Mosier.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I move that the Appropriations Committee approve the proposed budget for the Board of Veterinary Examiners as presented for 2026 and 2027.
All right, committee, for the motion, there's a second by Representative Ballard. All those in favor of the motion say aye. Aye. Opposed? Motion passes. All right, Chairperson Mosier, we move on to the Citizens Utility Ratepayer Board.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Once again, I will say that the Citizens Utility Ratepayer Board receives 0 SGF dollars. It's totally a fee-funded agency. CURB was funded in the Kansas Legislature in 1991, and it acts as an advocate for residential and small commercial utility ratepayers in Kansas in order to protect their interests. They provide ratepayers in Kansas with competent and quality legal representation before the KCC, various courts, and the Kansas Legislature. If you look on page 2 of the committee report, the total for 2026, $1,405,739, all from the regulatory fee fund, and that includes 9 FTEs. That's an increase of $1,710 above the approved amount. The agency is authorized each year by language in the appropriations bill to carry over unspent funds for professional services between fiscal years to ensure sufficient funding during years with the higher number of rate cases. The Special Committee on the State Budget concurred with the agency's revised estimate, as did the House Committee on Ag and Natural Resources. Moving on to 2027, the agency request was $1,555,801, And that request included 1.6 million from the fee fund and 9 FTEs again. This is an increase of $151,772, again, all from the fee fund. And that includes $75,000 for professional services, $66,320 for implementing changes that were recommended by a legislative post-audit. So the agency was audited and was found to need to do some things regarding the IT practices. And so the special committee concurred with the agency request for 2027, as did the House Committee on Ag and Natural Resources budget. And those increases that happened because of, 3 of them happened as a result of the audit. Capital outlay, $29,440, OITS fees, $25,500, other fees for other services, $11,380, and then the group health insurance, the budget cost indices said that insurance is going up, and so that number is $10,368. And then the fees for professional services of $75,000. And they stated that rates of professional services used by the agency are increasing. And so that's the ask. It compiles the $151,000. I guess that's the end of 2027. If you want to take a look at the performance-based budget, it's interesting to note that since the agency was enacted in 1991, there have been no legislative amendments to CURB's authority. So they are doing their job with no oversight that has been asked of them by the legislature. So if you want to look on the 3rd page of their performance measures, down near the bottom, the percent of total legislative bills which were modified due to comments or proposals made by CURB on an annual basis. That number is growing. To me, that shows that CURB's doing a good job, and what they see that might need to be changed is addressed in the legislature. If you want to look on the next page, the outreach work, there's several thousands of dollars in annual savings that CURB achieved with their outreach and representative and advisory work. And at the bottom, they're running 100% for being able to address the complainants and give them advice and/or assistance. And with that, Mr. Chair, I will stand for questions.
All right, thank you, Chairperson Mosier. Are there any questions? Representative Sutton.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. All right, you mentioned that an audit had requested some modifications. I'm seeing since 2024 to 2027 a pretty significant spike in spending here. And it seems to be falling under a couple of categories. Salaries and wages up something like 40%, which is, I mean, I guess refreshing for the employees, but that's more than heck other people are getting. Did they have a big increase in personnel, and then IT, of course, is in there too? And
Chairperson Mosier.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. They had an increase in cases over those years.
Representative Sutton.
Did that precipitate a hiring spree?
Chairperson Mosier.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Thank you, Mr. Chair. They have not added any FTEs, but with the increased caseload, they have had to hire outside contract labor to help with, investigations and finding information, those kind of things.
Right.
Representative Sutton.
Oh, thank you, Mr. Chair. And I saw that under contractual services. I kind of assumed that's what was happening there. But under employee pay and such, if there are no FTEs added, I'm not sure I can understand exactly how the salaries and wages has increased so dramatically.
Chairperson Mosier.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Thank you, Mr. Chair. See if I can remember all that. There could be savings if employees leave halfway through the year, and that with health insurance going up, the indices for health insurance going up, I mean, that's a part of salary and wages, the benefits.
Well, and that's why I didn't really touch on
and
benefits.
the pay plan also.
Right.
Yeah, if you look on page 5
That's where I'm looking.
of the agency budget, down under professional fees, that's 17.9%. That is hiring contract staff to evaluate cases. So
Representative Sutton.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. And then when we look under benefits, that's where I expected to see the increase in health insurance. That's perfect, from 200,000 to 290. I get it. Things are tough all over. Everybody's feeling that pain. But on employee pay, we even then we have 560 to 710. Good for them and everything, but I'm not sure that that's in keeping with the employee pay increases across the state government.
Chairperson Mosier.
thank you, Mr. Chair. I mean, why has this gone from 560 to 710?
Let me dig into the detail a little bit. Give me 1 second.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. My staff is going to dig into those details, and
Perfect.
he'll have something shortly.
Perfect. Thank you, Mr. Chair.
Vice Chair Williams.
Sure, thank you, Mr. Chair. As we're looking at the fee funds, they're really dwindling down, and they're about 36,000 left. So are they proposing an increase in fees to counterbalance this? And with the 2 additional staff, is it your understanding in your review that this is an effective use of fee money to add 2 additional staff when they did in 2022 or 3?
Chairperson Mosier.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I have a question written on here, trending. Why are these balances going down? And I don't have an answer written here. The revenue for the assessed quarterly levies, CURB can assess levies to the public utilities. That explains that number going up. And the recovery of expenditures, if they do have a case and all the expenses involved goes back to the utility companies to pay. So that's money coming in. But for the salaries and wages going up from 760 to almost $1 million. Yeah, there's a question there. I admit that.
Vice Chair Williams.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I don't think we'll have an answer today, but it is something maybe to follow.
Any further questions for Chairperson Mosier? All right, seeing none, Chairperson Mosier, I'd entertain a motion.
Would you like that answer about, before I
Yeah, if you
move the
provide the
budget?
answer before your motion.
Okay. Thank you, Mr. Chair. If you look on page 3, they, in 2022 and 23, they added, for years they ran with 7 FTEs, and they moved up to 9, and they've been able to hang on to those 9.
I have to admit, Representative Steele had a question before your motion.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I have a question on page 8 of the agency request under those professional services. You described some of the professional services to another representative, but there is a line that says the estimates for rates of consultants and other professional services. So I feel like there's different professional services. Can we just have an explanation a little bit more of that? Because that's $325,000 increase.
Chairperson Mosier.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Thank you, Mr. Chair. So that is how those fees are coded in this accounting system. But this $75,000 is for professionals who intervene and provide information and consult for the employees.
Representative Steele.
Thank you, Mr. Chair.
Any other further questions? All right, now, Chairperson Mosier, I'd entertain a motion.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I move that the Appropriations Committee approve the proposed budget for the Citizens Utility Ratepayer Board, acceptable for passage as presented for 2026 and 2027.
All right, committee, you heard the motion, seconded by Representative Estes. All those in favor of the motion say aye. Aye. Opposed? All right, motion passes. Chairperson Mosier.
I need a glass of water. Okay, on to Kansas Corporation Commission. Okay. Oh, thank you. So the Kansas Corporation Commission is responsible for regulating and overseeing the safety of public utilities, common carriers, which are any company that transports people or goods for a fee. It's public, and they have to hold high standards of care, and anyone that can pay should be able to hire a common carrier. Motor carriers are the tractor-trailer rigs you see running up and down the road, and oil and gas producers. Additionally, the agency is involved in developing the state's energy policy, and it administers conservation projects that promote the efficient use of energy. So it's a fee and federally funded agency. It is a statutory fee fund primarily financed through the quarterly assessments on gas, electric, and telephone companies in Kansas as required by statute. The federal funding addresses grid resilience, which I can explain that later if anybody wants the information, and also for the home energy rebates for low-income and single-family, multifamily homes. And that money from the feds came about through the Inflation Reduction Act. 2026, the agency budgeted estimate for was $132,659,519. They were asking for bonus retentions, and the special committee deleted that 32,000 and also deleted the .2 FTEs that they had requested. And the House committee concurs with the special committee's recommendation in 2026. And so if you do pop back to page 2, they also had a legislative post-audit, and because of that, they are in the process of moving all their IT programs into the administration program of their agency instead of having it in each division of their agency. So hopefully that will address efficiency. If you go to 2027, the agency requested $131,417,099. It's actually down from their approved budget by 52,000. And there was a proviso with some ARPA funds, and that was approved in the 2024 legislature, and it was for cities for their municipal natural gas utilities. And the problem why it wasn't dispersed back then was that the cities that applied did not have all the information or qualifications on the application. And so there were 3 towns that actually got through all the red tape, and that money is being dispersed. And those 3 towns are Hartner, Sawyer, and Sharon. So the special committee on state budget deleted the 52,000 request as well as the .2, and the House committee concurred with the special committee's recommendation for 2027. Are there any questions on 26 and 27?
Representative Estes.
Thank you. I see the addition of the 1.6 FTE, but if we're consolidating, is there a corresponding offset somewhere else where whoever was doing the IT there is not in the other budget, or positions were eliminated?
Chairperson Moser.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Which page? Okay. If you look on page 9, the summary of the budget request, you'll see that they did lose 1.9, and they still requested 0.2, and so there were employees that are not on the payroll.
Representative Estes.
So, and the savings is reflected somewhere else?
Chairperson Moser.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. So you'll see with the red numbers that that's the biggest savings, but we're not certain if that's tied to the elimination of the 1.9 employees.
Representative Estes.
Thank you.
Any further questions for Chairperson Mosier for 26 and 27? Vice Chair Williams.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Did they give you a complete report of the abandoned well grants and where those went, and they received some additional funds? And I'm just curious if there's a list available, if it's publicly available.
If they hadn't provided that to your Ag and Natural Resources Budget Committee, actually, we're going to have that as a topic in appropriations to, with all the federal money that came in regards to the abandoned wells across the state of Kansas, actually across the nation. Kansas received a substantial amount of money from the federal government to close those abandoned wells. But we're going to have an update from the KCC in another meeting. Vice Chair Williams.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I'm really glad to hear that. I'm a little salty over that since I had abandoned wells in my district and those individuals had to declare bankruptcy. So they did not get assistance.
Any further questions for Chairperson Mosier? All right, seeing none, I would entertain a motion.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I will draw your attention to, it's like the fourth page of the performance budget. The wells plugged in the course of regulatory enforcement, I mean, the numbers are going down, but I forget exactly how many Ms. Wright said there were left in the state to do, but we are, we're working on it. And it's a priority of mine as well. Both in the Ag Committee, we had discussions about it, and also with the KCC. So, that being said, I move that the Appropriations Committee approve the proposed budget for the Kansas Corporation Commission as acceptable for 26 and 27 as presented.
All right, committee for the motion seconded by Representative Estes. All those in favor of the motion say aye. Aye. Opposed? All right, motion passes. All right, Chairperson Mosier, I believe we have the Kansas Department of Credit Unions.
No, thank you, though. Okay, the Kansas Department of Credit Unions, the KDCU, their mission is to protect Kansas citizens from undue risk by ensuring safe and sound operation of state-chartered credit unions. The agency regulates compliance with state and federal laws, conducts examinations, as you'll note in the performance-based budgeting report, approves any new charters and mergers, and oversees liquidation when necessary. Kansas has 44 natural person, member-owned, state-chartered credit unions and 1 corporate credit union under their supervision. State-chartered credit unions must ensure deposits through the NCUA, National Credit Union Administration. They must undergo examinations at least every 18 months, and they pay annual fees based on asset size. The federally chartered credit unions in Kansas operate under NCUA and are exempt from the Kansas Department of Credit Union oversight. Again, this committee, or this agency, gets 0 SGF. If you look on 26, for 2026, the agency revised estimate was $1,769,929. They were asking for the following: $58,000 from the credit union fee fund for examiner training. Contingent, there is a possibility that the NCUA will no longer provide services for examiner training or the examiner software. And so the agency is waiting to hear back whether, and they don't know when they're going to hear from NCUA about that. And so they put in their budget to ask for the NCUA provides services in these amounts. roughly 58,000 for the examiner training and then 85,000 for the software. And so the value of NCUA's services would need to be put in the budget in the case that NCUA doesn't come through with the money. The KDCU currently uses the modern examination and risk identification tool, which is Merit. Again, this is provided at no cost through the NCUA. So NCUA's service is valued at around 85,000 on the software part. The examiner salaries, the agency requests $186,769, all from the fee fund to fund 2 vacant financial examiner positions at current market salary levels. Each position includes a salary of $65K, benefits of $28,385, for a total of $93,385 per position. There is no additional FTE authority being requested. This funding is solely to fill existing vacancies. They have 10 on board now. They're asking to be able to fill the other 2. The special budget committee deleted the money for the examiner the requests for funds for the examiner training and for the third-party examination software. And they also deleted the funds to hire 2 more financial examiners. And the committee had good discussion on this, and they agreed that since fiscal year 26 is half over, we agreed with the special committee's deletions of these 3 asks. So the final number would be $1,444,160 for 26. Moving over to 27, the committee had good discussion on this budget. The agency again asked for the $58,000 for examiner training and examinations, and then $85,000 for software. And then they requested again to fill the 2 vacant examiner positions. The special committee deleted all 3 of those requests. The House Committee on Ag and Natural Resources budget did the following. We added the $58,000 from the fee fund for the examiner training, and we added the $85,000 to obtain the third-party software. And if you look at number 4, the committee added language that Mr. Weiss provided for us from the revisor's office, that on or before January 11th of next year, the credit union agency shall provide a report to the House Committee on Appropriations and the Senate Committee on Ways and Means on the status of the agency's access to NCUA's providing this software and training program. If funding from the credit union fee fund for examination software and examiner training is still needed during the fiscal year ending June 30th, 2027. The committee felt strongly that the examiner training and software is necessary for the efficient conduction of business, and if NCUA, doesn't provide the funds that these people need that training, and they need the software to be able to execute their operations. And so we put that language in to fund that in the event that NCUA does not. We also added in from the credit union fee fund the amount to fund the 2 vacant financial examiner positions. No additional FTEs are being requested. The agency is approved for 12, and this funding is solely to fill vacancies that need to be filled because of the office workload, the agency workload. So I got something else back here. The committee wanted to bring 3 items to the Appropriation Committee's attention. KDCU is completely fee funded. The enhancements that we voted to approve for 2027 are only contingent on what I stated before about NCUA with the language in number 4. And if you look at the fee fund, they do have a healthy balance that is growing. And so if they need those extra 2, which they stated that they did, that we need to provide those so that their office can, handle the caseloads and work efficiently for the credit unions across Kansas. With that, Mr. Chair, I'll stand for questions.
All right, thank you, Chairperson Mosier. Representative Hoffman.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. So they've grown pretty considerable since 2020. And just last year, we gave them 200,000 more. Actually a little over 240 or 235,000. So what was that for? Do you remember what we approved in 26?
Chairperson Mosier.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I do not, and all of my 2025 files are at home.
Okay, I understand.
I'm learning as I go.
So I'm just wondering if they could, absorb this, but is there, I think I'll make a motion that if, that number 1 and number 2 are only contingent upon, what is it, NCUAA?
That's what it is already. Mr. Chair.
Is that the way it is?
Chairperson Mosier.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. It's in there already. I mean, that number 4 on page 5, we had our reviser add that language, that it's only contingent on NCUA. If they don't provide those services, we will fund so that the credit union has the software and the training capabilities. I mean, there's only one way they're going to get it.
Okay.
So if they come to us next January in their report and say, hey, the NCUA came through with, with the services for us, it goes away.
Okay, all right. Okay. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Vice Chair Williams.
Okay, so with those increases in fee funds, do you think that by filling those 2 vacancies, that we're going to see that those fee funds are going to start trending down again back to an average level instead of doubling, almost doubling?
Chairperson Mosier.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I honestly don't know.
Representative Sutton.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Kind of in the same vein, I see an overall expenditure increase over the recent years of, 450,000, give or take. And I get the 130,000 with the testing anticipated. I get that. And maybe a couple of employees, but that still doesn't account for the dramatic increase in expenditures. I'm wondering, one of the things that jumped out at me was a $100,000 increase in travel and subsistence. What's going on here that I'm not seeing in this picture?
Chairperson Mosier.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. What page are you referring to, Representative?
Representative Sutton.
Well, first, our visual aid on page 4 for the expenditures, but then travel and subsistence, I'm looking at page 7.
Chairperson Mosier.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I don't see travel and subsistence on page 7. I have administration on page 7.
It's in the middle of the.
Yeah, it's about halfway down the page.
Oh.
40% of the way down the page. Of the agency request, that is, not of the committee recommendation.
Okay, so for. He's asking for the travel and assistance. Because I know the
Actual is only 70,000.
I know that.
So, still
I
an
know
increase of
in
70,000.
2024, there was an increase for travel
Actual
due to
26 agency.
to the COVID, but, okay, it's a breakdown of
Yeah,
increases.
that's request, I'm just saying.
Chairperson Mosier?
Thank you, Mr. Chair. So in 2024, the increase was primarily related to legislature adding 90,000, all from the fee fund, for travel to on-site examinations and professional development training. In previous years, there were reduced travel during the COVID-19 pandemic. So that's why that would trend up
Now my
after
bingo
COVID.
card's full.
Now what? I'm sorry?
Now my bingo card's full. I heard COVID. Heck yeah. Was waiting for that one.
All right, are there any further questions for Chairperson Mosier for 26 and 27? Representative Estes?
Thank you. When I looked at page 6 of the budget summary, and we have FY 2026 approved and the agency, I'm still not sure that I'm understanding all of the big gap and that big jump from 1.4 to 1.7. Would you go over that one more time, please?
Chairperson Mosier?
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Yes, so the format for staff to put these budgets together is not real specific. And so I was told that there are expenditure families, lots of different expenses go into certain slots. And so when you look at the equipment and furniture down there, that actually includes a car. That's where they put it. And so that's that's a $30,000 jump. I would have to go back up and,
Sorry. So the enhancement request is in 2026 and 27, so that's why those two increase for the agency requests. They have, the requests are there. Beyond that, there's no net change above the approved, only the supplemental enhancement requests for those years.
okay, there's no, for 26 and 27, I was told there's no, it includes their enhancement requests.
There's an increase.
Thank you.
Representative Hoffman?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. So we were talking over here, and for one thing, number 4 does not clarify that it is only for number 1 and 2. So there's a little bit of, can they hire this, or the money for the vacant position? So, and also, it actually would take another step. So they'd have to come report to us, and then if they reported that the money was available, then we would have to make a motion to pull that money out. And so I'm going to make a substitute motion for number 4, or I would take number 4 out, and this would be the new number 4 would be that the increase of number 1 and number 2 would lapse if NCUA provides for the software and extensive training for the credit union, I guess.
Just a motion, there's no motion.
Yeah, there's a motion, not a substitute, I'm sorry.
All right, committee, you've heard the motion. Is there a second on the motions? Second by Vice Chair Williams. Discussion on the motion. Chairperson Mosier.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Again, this was discussion that came up yesterday, and this was what Mr. Weiss put together in, right after we worked the budget yesterday, and we are amiable to word it the way the Appropriations Committee needs to have it said. So, that is not set in stone. I'm sorry if I thought that, if I gave you that impression. But, yeah, we're amenable to, having that worded the way Approps wants it.
Representative Curtis.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. So appreciate the motion. I just want to make sure that our intent is, that we're achieving the same intent that our committee was trying to arrive at, because we really struggled with that. So, as you know, our discussion. So I just want to make sure that we're still achieving the same intention. So if you could just kind of like explain that again, or like just clarify a little bit for me, please.
Representative Hoffman.
Sure. Thank you, Mr. Chairman. So number 1 and number 2 would be added. They would have the authority to spend that money, but if in the next 6 months or the next year, if the NCUA does come through, then that money would be lapsed and they no longer have that authority to spend that money. Yeah, it's the same thing. It just takes out a step for us.
Any further discussion on the motion? Seeing none, Representative Hoffman, you may close.
I close.
All right, committee, you've heard the motion. All those in favor of the motion say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion passes. Any further discussion on fiscal year 26 or 27? Seeing none, Representative Mosier, or Chairperson Mosier.
I'm good with Rep. Thank you, Mr. Chair. I move that the Appropriations Committee approve the proposed budget for the Kansas Department of Credit Unions for 26 and 27 for passage as amended.
All right, committee, you've heard the motion, seconded by Representative Estes. All those in favor of the motion say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion passes. And now on to your final budget, the Office of the State Banking Commissioner.
Okay, this is the one everyone's been waiting for. Okay, the Office of the State Bank Commissioner. Again, I will note that this agency receives 0 SGF. The OSBC ensures the integrity of regulated providers of financial services through responsible and proactive oversight. It's responsible for protecting consumers from unfair or unscrupulous credit practices and promoting public trust in the state financial system by educating consumers. And there's a special fee fund. It's called the Consumer Education Fee Fund, which is, it has one purpose, and that's to educate consumers regarding financial frauds, scams, and investment methods. And it receives $200,000 every year, and this money comes from fines and penalties that are paid by banks. So the makeup of the commission, there's one commissioner appointed by the governor, serves a 4-year term. There's a 9-member banking board, also appointed by the governor. They serve in an advisory capacity to the Banking and Trust Division, and they also administer the banking laws in Kansas. And you can read more about the different kinds of programs. In the interest of time, fiscal year 2026, the agency revised estimate was $14,142,641, and the Special Committee on State Budget agreed to that, as did the House Committee on Ag and Natural Resources. The only thing I'll draw your attention to on page 2 is the $200,000 that goes into the Consumer Education Settlement Fund. So that's 26. 27, the Special Committee on State Budget reduced the agency's original request by $157,670 to a total of $14,186,695. There is an item of note that we had in committee. In the 2024 legislature, we enacted HB 2560, which created the Kansas Earned Wage Access Services Act, meaning you go to work on Monday morning, and you go to work on Tuesday morning, and you go to work on Wednesday morning, and you want your salary, you want your wages Wednesday at 5 o'clock, and you won't originally get paid till Friday. This act allows that person to get paid. This is a voluntary program, but the interest in it went above and beyond what the bank commissioners thought it would. So the EWA, they have to register annually with the State Banking Commission. Any EWA providers, they have to maintain surety bonds and submit annual reports, and they must comply with business record keeping and consumer disclosure requirements. The agency indicates, like I said a little bit ago, that participation in the EWA program has been significantly higher than anticipated. As of September 2025, there were 20 registered providers and 5 additional applications that are under review. Okay, so that being said about the EWA, the agency requests $157,670 from the Bank Commissioner Fee Fund and 2 FTE positions to regulate the earned wage access providers. That's pursuant to statute. The positions will support licensing, examinations, complaint handling, and enforcement activities. This request exceeds the original fiscal note of HB 2560 of 1 FTE due to higher than anticipated participation in this program. So that's the basis for requesting 2 financial officers in the consumer and mortgage lending program, which is one of the programs that the bank commissioners oversee. And their hourly wage is budgeted at $27.10. So the state Special Committee on State Budget deleted the $157,670 request and the 2 FTEs. The House Committee, after long discussion and, looking at the growth of that act, voted to add that back so that the EWA can be overseen and carried out efficiently. If you go into 2027, it's basically the same thing. The special committee took out the funding and the 2 FTEs, and the House Budget Committee concurred with the special committee's recommendation with the following adjustments. We added the $157,670, all from the Bank Commissioner Fee Fund, and 2 FTE positions for EWA staffing. And with that, Mr. Chair, I will stand for questions.
All right, thank you, Chairperson Mosier. Vice Chair Williams.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. So we see that the balance of the fee fund continues to rise, even though we added 2 new positions. And those 2 positions were based on statute. Was that because of something that, again, industry wanted, or something that federally was required? And then last question is, overall, is this commission regulating how many more banks, how many banks in Kansas do we have? And is that number continuing to fall?
Chairperson Mosier.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Those are all. I have it in here. I just have to find it. Oh. Thank you, Mr. Chair. The Office of the State Bank Commissioner plays a crucial role in regulating and supervising more than 13,900 state-chartered financial institutions and consumer lending entities.
Vice Chair Williams. Representative Hsu.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I can actually answer this one. I'm the ranking on financial institutions, which usually doesn't have a spot here. But I believe yesterday we said, or there are 188 state-chartered banks in Kansas, and that does continue to fall due to consolidation. But overall assets are healthy and fine, but due to consolidation, the number of state-chartered banks are falling.
Representative Estes.
Thank you. In the budget summary agency request, page 11, I'll give you a chance to get there. Okay. On number 2, it's kind of an offset thing, but I'm still curious about the why. They reduced $30,085 in contractual services, and they added that to the $35,000 purchase for a vehicle. So they nearly doubled what they were planning to spend, so we're looking at a $65,000 van. I see the their 2014 Dodge Caravan. Yes, that is quite old, but was there, why were they so off in what they originally estimated it cost, or why do we justify $65,000 for a van? What's been done to it?
Thank you.
Agency need, I would say agency need enforce the reduction of the $30,000. They had a less need for travel, but I think they had.
Yeah. Okay, they did not get a van purchased in the last fiscal year. And so in looking at new ones, because I asked the question, I said, can you find a van without using up the entire savings from contractual services? And he said they would try, but vehicles are expensive.
Is it a larger van, more seats?
8-passenger van. It's not like a SUV or anything. It's, yeah.
Representative Estes.
Thank you.
Any other further questions for Chairperson Mosier? Representative Turk.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Can you tell me, of the 114 FTEs, how many of them are vacant currently, and for how long they've been vacant?
Chairperson Mosier.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I cannot. We can find out, though.
Representative Turk.
The only reason I ask, in so many other budgets, especially coming from general government budget, we find that they've got open positions that they can maneuver within their agency instead of having to add new FTEs to the docket. If we can find that they have open positions and they've been open for a while, the agency can work within their means.
Chairperson Mosier.
I guess we refer to the shrinkers, honestly, so we typically have maintained before vacancies at a time, but this is generally.
Okay, okay. Okay, there are 3 to 4 vacancies floating, but they are filled in a timely manner. Does that answer your question? I mean,
Representative Turk.
I mean, yeah, of course it answers my question. I just, timely manner according to whom? They have 114 positions. It's our goal to reduce FTEs, not add. So if they have openings, we can fill them from within. Moving forward, let's just keep that in mind. I'm not going to beat this one up, but the next one maybe.
thanks.
All right. Are there any further questions in regards to the Office of the State Bank Commissioner? Seeing none, Chairperson Mosier, I'd entertain a motion.
I move that the Appropriations Committee approve the proposed budget for the Office of State Bank Commissioner, acceptable for passage for, is it 25 and 26 and 27, as it was presented by by our committee, because we made that change.
All right, committee, you've heard the motion. Is there a second? Second by Representative Turk. All those in favor of the motion say aye. All opposed? All right, motion passes. Okay, so obviously we did not get to the reports from Chairman Anderson. I've already talked to him. We're going to move that until Tuesday. So that would be the start on Tuesday's meeting. We are going to be meeting at 9 a.m. I believe all of you are aware that we do have a very aggressive schedule in regards to our budget report outs. We are not meeting tomorrow, and that is I have to attend my uncle's funeral, so I will be out of state. And you'll see on next week, if you look at next week's agenda, it says meeting on call of the chair. if we have a carryover on budgets that we didn't get through the entire week, that will fall onto Friday. So we can get through all of the budgets that we have, that we needed to report out. Goal is to be done by February 10th with all of our report outs. I know that there's been some consternation with some of the budget chairs. We're working around that, and I've told them to have some brevity. And we will be very accommodating to the schedules of our budget committees and staff. But that is the goal, just so I can make that announcement and let everybody know what the anticipation is for the budget for the state of Kansas. I have to commend the budget committees, most of them, who met the week prior to session, so we could get through 9 budgets today in the first week of, in our first meeting of the 2026 legislative session. So I just kind of wanted to make that announcement. So we're going to start with Chairman Anderson on Tuesday. Also, you'll see on the agenda, I believe it's all written out, so I'm not going to go through all the reports, but your inbox on your email has probably been flooded with all the reports that we have been receiving from other agencies and departments. So at your leisure this weekend, if you're bored, you can take a look at all those reports. And then also, Dylan had indicated that the performance measures have been sent by the Legislative Research Department. Oh, and I want to say, I didn't say this at the beginning, but thank you, Representative Shue, for filling in for Representative Alcala. So until Tuesday morning at 9 a.m., we are adjourned.
Said if we had to do this at night.